I wanted to share a little bit about waking up, about allowing yourself to consider some new ideas and being open to things that are happening in your life around you in the world that you may have not noticed. I'm Roach, Mark Roach. I'm here to bring you a different perspective, give you a chance to enrich your life and hopefully improve your relationships and help others in the world. So I'm going to share some information now from psychological commentaries on the teaching of Gurdjieff and Ouspensky from Volume 5. It's called The Reception of New Ideas About Oneself and the World. Maurice Nicoll delivered this October 20, 1951. Why is it that people find ideas so difficult to receive? The mind closes early on a few conventional ideas. The mind was once likened to a bird cage and ideas to birds. Some quite beautiful birds may come and go. If you value them, they may stay. But if in a vision you were to see your own mind represented as a bird cage, what kind of birds would you perceive in it? A few parrots might be there, and some decaying or dead birds. The bottom of the cage would be filthy. What does the filth represent psychologically? What is psychological meaning of this? Wrong ideas, ideas that check the development of the mind, traditional ideas that have become lifeless, and conventional ideas obsequiously limited so that there's so much filth in the mind? In short, the obsequious mind stinks as much as the mind swarming with little nasty petty schemes like mice. Now, to receive new ideas and think from them begins to cleanse the mind and also the countenance. The work is packed with new and powerful ideas. And if we can bestir and humiliate ourselves just enough to receive them and think from them, our minds will begin to smell less badly in the nostrils of heaven, and our faces will become more distinct. Seeing that the mind and the face are connected, one would certainly expect the face to alter after a time as an outward sign of an alteration of the mind. But if it does not, then one knows that new and powerful ideas have not been received. Now, to receive the mind, it must be like a bowl or a cup. I mean, simply that a bowl or a cup could represent the receptive mind. Something can be poured in and retained. The bowl or cup upside down, that is, pointing downwards, would then represent the non-receptive mind. Again, the bowl or cup might be filled with dirt, so that until it was cleaned out, nothing could be put in or put in without contamination. The new and powerful ideas of the work, therefore, could not be received if the bowl or cup were upside down or filled with filth. And we've already seen that filth can represent this, many things psychologically. These matters can only be represented by ordinary visual images because no one can draw a mind or a wrong idea. But using the seen objects of the senses as representing things not seen, it is possible to express the invisible in terms of the visible. This is possible provided it is realized that the visible things made use of represent invisible things that are not to be taken literally, but psychologically. So a bowl can mean the mind. Empty and turned up, it can mean the mind receives and is receptive to ideas. Full of filth, it can represent the mind as full of false or wrong, dead ideas. If it's full of clean water, full of true and living ideas. It is, however, quite true to say that this is transforming of the literal senses into psychological senses, is repugnant to many and strongly resented to them to their very great loss. A bowl is a bowl, sir, and it can only mean a bowl. A man should say what he means, sir. How in heaven's name can a bowl mean the mind? Well, that is exactly its meaning in heaven. And if you say that it can only represent the mind and retort with no doubt be, then why the devil don't you just say the mind? Straighten out instead of messing with bowls and filth and bird cages and parrots. Or you may encounter the polite and slightly amused person who murmurs that it is interesting but rather far-fetched and so on. So let me hasten on to something else and avoid this valuable but despised little cross-bridging that leads to the level called psychological thinking and introduce us to a new world of meaning. Let us keep to what is sensible and logical and stand with our feet firmly planted on the solid earth of sensory facts. Unfortunately, if we do this, if we only do this, we may well remain too low a level of understanding for the work. We will indeed remain mechanical or natural and have nothing of the conscious or spiritual. Also, the bowl will be upside down. If we can't transform the literal into the psychological, if we cannot transform the sense of the letter into the sense of the spirit, and we are told somewhere that the letter killeth, then we cannot give ourselves the first conscious shock. And unless the first conscious shock is given a man, he remains in a natural and a mechanical man to whom the world is just as it appears. Everything is what it seems to him. Such a matter-of-fact man crystallizes out early. His world seems fixed to him. He cannot develop. Yes, soon he becomes a fixture in it, and because he takes the world like it is fixed in facts. And so do you understand? Can you see what you are depends on what the world is for you? Now, if you have always had a certain feeling of unreality about the world, or if you have felt like there's a mystery about it, or yourself is a mystery, you will not crystallize out like the matter-of-fact people who seem to get on better than you and have no difficulties. However, I would far rather be you, for you probably will be able to receive ideas of a certain quality in the matter of fact than the matter of fact folk. They'll look at this like it's nonsense, but certain ideas may be nonsense in one mind and not nonsense in another mind. To change the metaphor, you may have a landing ground for certain ideas which can only crash in the minds of others. Now, the reception of new ideas is necessary for a change of being, and I can only think of a new way means new ideas, and I must really think for myself from these ideas to change my mind. You cannot in the work leave your thinking to others. You must crave for new ideas, which transmit new truth. As for water in the desert, no one is going to help you if you do nothing for yourself. This seems to surprise some and offend others. I can never understand why. Now, I think in a new way, I can see things in a new way. If I change, my view of the world will change. If my view of the world changes, I will change. That is why the work has two sides to its teaching, one psychological and one cosmological. Unless I change, my world will not change. I cannot undergo change in myself and remain in the same world. If I begin to have a new feeling of myself, I will also begin to have a new feeling of the world. And I and the world will change together. My new feeling of the world will give, again, a new feeling of myself. The two feelings will help each other to grow. For the world is my feeling of it, and my feeling of the world is me. If I feel there is something higher than myself in myself, I will feel there is something higher in the world behind it. But all this and many other things beyond expression can only begin with the reception of new ideas and thinking from them for yourself. I'm Roach, Mark Roach, wishing you all the best.